Welcome to the Ziegelei Academy podcast. We are about to change an old historic brick factory into a music university here in Germany. Our mission is to change the landscape of the music industry to strengthen independent artists with the knowledge of entrepreneurship, technology, and of course, music and artistry. With our podcast, we want to share all the information around the music industry, and we also invite experts and artists to help you with your career. So, are you ready to make your passion a profession? In today's episode, we have EDM artist and DJ Labi Ramaj with us, and this episode was special because Labi is an artist himself, and he told us everything about how he started his career, how he makes a living from his career. He shares important tools for artists in terms of mindset, also how to deal with labels or distribution. So stay tuned. So welcome everyone to the Music Roundtable, and today we have a special guest. It's actually the first time that we have an artist in our Music Roundtable, which is super cool, and he's a really cool artist because he's an EDM artist and DJ. He's really played on the biggest stages for DJs and EDM artists that you can imagine. He also has some songs or many songs signed to the one of the biggest EDM, or maybe the biggest EDM label called Spinning Records. And if you check out his Spotify, it's insane. He has millions of streams, probably because his music is just super cool and is a lot of fun. And I'm very proud and happy to have him here. So welcome, Labi, to our Ziegelei Academy Music Roundtable.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for having me.
It's very good to see you. Labi, my first question is, what inspired you to start making music, and how did you discover your passion for EDM?
I think it started very early when I lived in Germany. I was always watching MTV. It's like it was broadcast on television, national television. It's a music channel for, I think everybody knows, but for those who don't know what MTV is. And I was listening most to the hip hop acts. And then I had a really good friend who I grew up with. His name was Raphael, and we were always known for that. We have always the latest music. So all in our friend circle, they always asked us for music, like CDs. Hey, can you burn me a CD? So that's when you have a CD, you put it in your old school PC, and then you can record, like you can burn the data from one CD to another CD, to an empty CD, and then you can give it out to your friends. And what we had a this is also, I can tell it, but we had a guy working at a shop. I don't remember the name of the shop, but all the new CDs were coming there, so we bought the CDs from there, and we didn't have so much money, so we bought them, we burned them, and then we returned them because we didn't have so much money to really buy them. So maybe that's not so good to do. So don't do this if you hear it, but it was just that time, you know. And so we had always the newest songs, always the newest albums from G-Unit, 50 Cent, and all that. And from that, my interest began more and more as I was printing out the lyrics from all the songs. I started to rap and do those kind of things. Uh-huh. And then a few years later, I moved to Norway, from Germany to Norway, when I was about 14 years old. So here in Norway, I got introduced to house music. So before I was like, I don't think house is so good, or yeah. And then I got to hear it at the big system, because there were like clubs for youth, also for people who are from 15, 16. And they have really big speakers. And that was the first time where I actually could hear how it was supposed to be heard. That, like, with a lot of bass, and so you can hear the whole track, like in the whole dimension. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, whoa, what is this? It's really cool, you know. Like there was a song called Children, and also the theme, like a theme song or something, like from the Pirates of Caribbean, which was in like remix in a house style. So I got really inspired by that, and then I began to listen to more and more house. Maybe I also grew away from like hip hop. I don't know, but I really fell in love with the dance music. And from that, I was going to school, and one day there was like this guy who um, who was DJing because there was a catwalk. Like there were the students from the school walking and showing off the newest hairstyles and clothes, and he had like equipment where he could change from one song to another one. And I've never seen that before, so I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And then he explained it to me, and then I became familiar with what DJing was, and then I got more into it, and then I watched more and more YouTube, and I saw the big DJs like Nick Romero, Tiesto, all of these guys, and then I saw how they did create this music. So what I would do is just watch the tutorials, and then I would stop and I would write down what plugins they have and how they do. Like if you in my home, I have like lots of notes, like so many notes from all those tutorials. And at daytime at work or school, I would listen to those tutorials, or I would read blogs, music blogs on how to make EDM and how to make music. So I got more and more into it, and then yeah, from there was just on and on.
Wow, so that's also not only an independent artist, also a self-taught artist.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Wow, really inspiring. Very good.
Yeah.
And so in 2016, you released your first EP, and it was a huge success.
Yeah.
What do you think resonated like so well with your listeners? Like, what was the secret behind that first
I
success?
think first and foremost it was because before I was already DJing a lot. I started DJing 2011, so 5 years before, and I had like a residency, so I had a lot of people coming where I was performing every weekend. I was DJing the whole year, every weekend, every Friday and Saturday. And so I got to know with more people, and I started to build kind of a following, like friends and their friends again, and then they see me also DJing. And when I tried to make my first track, and I spent so much time, like almost 1 year, because I didn't know how to finish it, nothing. And then I met Chris, who was also on your round table, who all you also know. And I met Chris, and he was like a mentor coach for me.
Mm.
And he told me like, instead of you spending 1 year on one song, let's rather put a date on making one EP, also 5 songs, in 8 weeks. I'm like, how are we gonna do this? You know, it's like just spent 1 year for one song, and I'm still not finished. So how am I gonna make 5 songs in 8 weeks? And I've never made a song before, never made music like before.
Okay.
And then he's like, okay, let's do it like this. Put a date on it, the goal, and then you do something called reverse engineering. So you reverse the goal. So 5 songs in 8 weeks. So then you split up for each song. You spend this and this amount of time, and then you plan again. For example, after 2 days, you should be finished with this part of the song. After 2 days again, you should be finished with this part of the song, and this and this and this. So in that, normally, like of course, music is a creative process. So it's not, of course, it's not going to be like, okay, in 2 days you have to have a song and then that's it. It's more like that you force yourself to focus on that specific goal so that you don't get distracted. It's more about the journey towards the goal, which is the important part, not actually the date which is set to be finished.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, if you, for example, have to do something else, you're going to be like, oh, I actually can't do anything else because I have this goal, which kind of puts me like on the positive stress to finish up my things. So after 8 weeks, 5 songs were ready. I'm like, I was really shocked, and the whole journey in those 8 weeks, I was filming everything, and I put it out on my Facebook, and I also took the people alongside with the process of how I made the songs. And just remember, I never made music before. So it wasn't, of course, not the best music, but I didn't have how to say, I wasn't shy or anything, because I knew these are those 5 songs are actually also my first 5 songs. So I just put them out there, and then I knew that either way, I know I'm going to make better music later on. Instead of me waiting until I get better and never release anything, let me just produce whatever I can produce, the best I can do right now. And when it gets better and better with time, people will follow and see that the whole journey, and not just out of the blue, here's the perfect song, so I think the whole journey, and that they were were be able to follow me throughout the whole journey. I think that what led to people listening to it and celebrating it. And for me, it was a huge thing, because first time making, finishing songs and putting them online. So that was the very great start, with the very great help from Chris, actually.
Wow, I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And hope when artists will hear that, I hope that's their wake-up call to not wait for perfection.
Yeah.
That is such a good mindset. Wow, very powerful.
Yeah, thanks.
Really good. Wow. So that was really your way to success. Yeah, you didn't wait for perfection. You just said, see, that's my process. That's who I am, and that's what artists actually should do. So I really love that.
Yeah.
Good. So, in 2019, then you signed with Spinning Records, which is a major label where many EDM icons actually have started.
Yes.
And how did it opportunity come about, and what has changed since?
To be honest, so that was a remix of a song, and it was a song which was the original was by a friend of mine, now a friend, but in that time I didn't knew him, of course, and his name was Pade, and he sent his song to a demo listening live stream from the artist Kashmir. Kashmir is one of the main artists of Spinning Records. He has a huge success in the EDM scene. And he was listening to demos, and then he was listening to Pade's song, the original. It's called The Olive. And he really loved it. And I was also watching that stream, and I also loved the original. So I started remixing it together with my good friend Drop G, who was also with me remixing the track. And then when the remix was finished, I sent it to Pade. I contacted him through socials. And in that time, Spotify for us was quite new, when it comes to releasing and all that stuff. So we didn't know so much about the distribution and all that, because we were self-releasing. So I asked him, hey, can I put this remix out? Since you like it, can we put it out on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and all that? And he was like, yeah, sure, just release it wherever you want. And we didn't know that you have to have the confirmation from a label, or alone, that the label say yes to it, because we actually didn't know, because we weren't so good educated on those stuff. Because we were in the studio making music all day. We didn't know how those things work actually so much, with the labels and all that, because towards that point I only have self-released my songs. So he said, yeah, you can put it out, and I sent it to a distribution company, where you can upload your songs, and then they send it to all the stores like Spotify, Apple Music, all that. And then it came up on Spotify as a self-release, and it did really, really great without any label push or anything. It did really good. I think it got into 15 or 16,000 playlists.
Wow.
Yeah, and then and then after 1 year, my friends, so from Drop G, the manager, he called me. He's like, hey, you know that you guys could risk a fine of 100,000 euros.
What?
Yeah, the label, the spinning label, contacted him and said, you guys are not allowed to self-release this song. It's not allowed, because it's our song, because we signed it. But we really didn't know. We didn't do it on purpose or something. We actually, I thought that's the process. Ask the original artist, because he's on the song, and he said yes, and that's it. And they said you could risk a fine of 100,000 euros. But we saw that this song is performing very well. So so we're gonna sign it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's really nice. That's, it turned out really great. We had lots of luck. They saw that the song was doing really great because you can see like the stats on Spotify, like accurate stats where the listeners are coming from, where the streams are coming from. So I guess they saw all the playlists, like people added the song to the playlist. So in 2019, it got re-released through the label, and I took the self-release down. So that was that was quite unusual, I think, and it was really great because it was first time I was releasing with a very huge label, and it's also very short time after I started actually making music. So that was, and it helped me also a lot along the way with gigs and with everything. So that was really great.
Wow.
But don't to the people who are listening, don't do the same.
Don't self-release when you're signed.
Yeah.
Could be costly. Wow. I actually remember 2019, we just talked about Chris because that was the time Chris used to live here in Germany. And I actually remember when you had like these big peaks in Spotify.
Yeah.
And I hope I can say that, but at some point you mentioned to Chris, I can pay my rent now from Spotify.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a myth that Spotify doesn't pay, but if you have enough streams, obviously there's definitely a pay in it, I guess.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's true.
Super cool. Wow, very inspiring. So also you've performed at actually major festivals and events. What has been your most memorable gig so far and why?
So one of them, of course, I have to point out one of the latest ones, which were performing at Dua Lipa's festival in front of 10,000 people. That was quite like I don't think I'm ever going to forget that night because I've never in my life performed in front of such a huge crowd, and also it's a very like important festival for me because it's so many different artists, and they're like global artists coming there. Like Miley Cyrus have performed there, Diplo, Dua Lipa, of course, is her own festival. J Balvin, like many artists, and it's during like 4 days. So you have one day hip hop, second day pop, third day like mixed Latin everything, and the last day was like EDM house. And it was memorable because I didn't really know how many people are gonna come because I was at the festival the days before. It was a lot of people, but I was thinking it's a Sunday and maybe people are not so used to house like dance because I've been to the clubs in Kosovo and it's more like hip hop, urban, all that kind of music. So I didn't know how many people are going to be at the stage at the time I will be performing. I was sure it's going to be a lot of people at the when Diplo was performing, but I was playing like 2 or 3 slots before him. So I prepared like 2 sets where I prepared like the kind of songs I want to play. And then the backstage, I was coming very early, and the the guy like the agent, like the promoter, the booking agent, or the guy who works at the festival, very helpful, great guy. His name is Fat, and he asked me like, what have you prepared? And I told him like, hey, I've prepared 2 kind of sets. Like one, if there's not so many people. One, if there's going to be like a huge crowd. And he's like, what do you mean with not so many people? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, Sunday, 9 o'clock, 8:39. He's like, you know that it's gonna be around 8 to 10,000 people, and you're gonna be performing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So the last hour before stage time, I think I was at the toilet for 12 or 13 times, back and forth. Because I was having one beer and one Red Bull, and maybe that combo, or maybe because I was super nervous, so maybe everything mixed together. But it was really great because at right before stage time, I was very nervous. But when I started performing, the whole nervous thing went away, and I was super focused, and I had really great fun. And when the set was over, it was like the best feeling in the world. So that was super cool. And one other festival which is quite, or gig which is quite memorable, is the one in Saudi Arabia, which was last year. That was also really fun because you don't know what to expect. So I've never been there before. I haven't seen so many festivals from there before, and they told us it's going to be like no alcohol in the crowd. So I was like, wow, how is this going to turn out? Because it's going to be like performing at the festival and it's dance music. You're supposed to get like not to be drunk, of course, but at least it's like party time. But when I was there, it was completely different what I expected. Like the people were really engaging, like very exciting crowd, and I was super fun. So,
wow, super cool. I didn't know you also played on the same festival stage like Dua Lipa. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Super cool. Well, so now we hear you have one part of your artistry is the, I say, recording art industry, where you have like a lot of Spotify streams. The other part is you also gig a lot live. And is there also like for you, is it also important to engage in social media, or how is that like how does that part
I think social media is as important as making music.
mhm.
In some cases, people say in some cases it's even more important in some cases, but I think it's at least as much important as making music because um, especially nowadays, like everybody has a phone, everybody has like TikTok or Instagram or Facebook to connect to the world, to friends, family. And when you make music, I think it's very important to engage in together with the people. Like those platforms allow you to showcase your music, or if you're a brand, your product or whatever it is. And when making music, it's a form of artistry. Like it is very connected with yourself as an artist. So I think social media is a really great way to enhance that artistry of your music. Like with the music, you try to tell who you are or what you feel or what you have in your mind. If it's about a love story, a breakup, or a positive love story, you're in a happy relationship or whatever, or if you have problems, like you put it out in your song, and then you share this with the people. And I think social media is a really great way to enhance those uh, those things you want to translate into your music. So for me, it's super important. Also, when you have a fan base or people who like your music, they most likely want also to know who the person is behind, like what is this person doing, what is he she about. And it's a very great way, to connect with the people listening to music. So I think it's a really important part.
Yeah, very good. I agree totally. And now talking about also the creativity process of your music, I think there's a big, I want to say misunderstanding for EDM artists, because some people don't understand what the music is about, I want to say. So, but I know because I also listened to a lot of your songs, and I personally like EDM music a lot. So I would like to ask you, maybe one of your favorite songs. What is the story about? What is the creative process about? Is it also because when we compare it, I want to say to organic songs and songwriting, the story is written in words, etc., which is different in EDM music. So maybe can you talk a little bit? Maybe one of your favorite songs and what the story is about and how you create that, how you've created that song.
Okay, I can, for example, say, Strangers Again. It's a song which is one I really like. I like, of course, all of them for different reasons, but for example, Strangers Again is like, I made this song because I was watching a movie with Will Smith on it. I can't remember the movie title, Seven Lives, or I don't know. And there was like a scene in the movie where he hands a note to his woman, like to his girlfriend, or I don't know who she was, but there was like a female person, and it says like, if only we could be strangers again. So with other words, and I don't know what they meant, like if they meant the same what I feel they meant, but in my mind I was thinking, okay, so this is like maybe about what happened, whatever happened. So if we only could start again, like from point blank, from zero, maybe it would turn out different. And I was like, maybe this is a little bit personal, but I was in the same kind of situation with a previous relationship. And from just that one scene, I stopped the movie. Just that one scene, I contacted a vocalist, like a guy who does who sings on EDM tracks, who I was worked with before. And I told him about this moment, and I wrote to him like all the lyrics I wanted to have, like the whole lyrics. But of course, I don't know so much about the rhyming part, like how to use the words so that they appeal great in a song. That's more of his job. So I was writing the whole lyrics, and then I sent it to him, and he made it into like more in the better presented way for the listeners when he sings it. And I did the instrumental, like the breakdown, and then I tried to do the drop. So the drop is like the chorus, what you call the chorus. And I was working on this song for maybe 8 months, to be honest, because I couldn't figure out the chorus, because I wasn't satisfied with how it sounded. Like I had an idea how it should be sounding, and I couldn't get it to that sound. And so I had to wait. First of all, I had to wait 2-3 months because of him, but the rest was because of me. I wasn't satisfied with the chorus. So one night, as usual, it's always like that. You work on it, and then suddenly it just makes click, and it's there. It's where you want to have it. And one of the reasons I also really like it is because the lyrics are very personal, and I feel that people who are listening to the song, they can really kind of resemble with the lyrics. They can have maybe been through the same thing. So if you don't know the song yet, now is maybe the time to save it at least. And once the song was out on Spotify, it was a self-release. It got, and like in that time, it was not so usual to get like New Music Friday Norway and all those stuff, because I was only doing self-releases. So it was the first time I was on New Music Friday Norway. The first time I was on Hits Don't Lie. It's like a really good playlist for. It was like just pop stars. You had like I don't know, Post Malone, Justin Bieber, and all those acts. And then in between you had like Labi Ramaj, and then again all those big guys. And I was a self-release, and then again another label with 4 or 5 million followers from Spotify, Pop right now, something like that. So it was just like every day, like a new message from Spotify, like, hey, your track got added to this and this and this and this playlist. I'm like, whoa, crazy, because I spent so much time on the song, and it was also so personal. So it feels so much nicer, when it's like your very, very personal song. Like if you collaborate with others, it's still personal, of course, but it's then mixed with other ideas and everything. But this was like very my own, like from the lyrics, because normally the lyrics is more the task of the guy who's singing, they write like themselves mostly. But here I also did the lyrics, mostly of them, like not the rhymes, of course, but the story. And it was just great, because that's the reason why it was one of my favorites, because it took long time. It was from a scene, and it felt like very personal, and I try to do something with it, like get my thoughts and my feelings out on a song, which I think music should be about, and yeah, it was great.
Amazing, great story, and I hope that cleans up a lot of those prejudices about EDM music, because they have stories and they have emotions, as we can hear now.
Of course, we are humans,
Yes, absolutely. Super cool. Wow, I didn't know, like with the when you said you had a playlist with so many big artists. I guess that's a really good feeling.
Yeah, especially in that time, because it was not usual for me. Usually it was just self-releasing it and then promote it as much as I can on my on my socials. So when that happened, when Spotify themselves pushed it, then it was, of course, really great feeling. And that was all this was happening while I was celebrating with my friends for getting the contract from Sweden Records.
Oh,
So
wow.
so that was in the same time I was just like I was flying, It was really great feeling.
I can imagine. Super accomplishment. Wow. So you definitely live from your music as a successful artist, which is probably the ultimate goal for so many also our listeners. Can you talk a little bit about what's behind it? Like, what does it involve? What do you have to do? Like, what's the daily to-dos, your kind of process? How does it look like? So that people maybe get an idea of what's behind of making a living from music.
To make a living, I think um, for me, or for us DJs, it's a little bit different because uh, we can for us doing live gigs, it's a little bit easier in terms of that we don't need so much equipment, we don't need a band. So for us, it's a little bit easier, and that's also where, in especially like in my case, the most of the money comes from. It's from live gigs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and in terms of music, I think if you make a lot of music and you release a lot of music, the chances are higher that some of them, of course, are gonna uh, get great support on Spotify, or that you get a lot of streams, because that's very logical. Like if you try like 100 times, then at least one or two gonna do something for you. So I think the routine, especially for my routine, which has helped a lot, is um, even if you feel like some days you're not like in the mood, or you want to do something else, still try to do something, still try to come up with something, because it will help you to, or it will learn your body to not give up whenever you feel like a little bit low in energy or something. So many of my friends, they, for example, go have like a work-life balance, or they go to the gym and all those stuff, and I think that's really great. But I think especially in the beginning, it's really important that you put a lot of time in what you're doing, so that you get a lot of experience, and that you can like navigate through a lot of different stuffs. So I was, especially in the beginning, I was producing maybe 15, 16 hours a day, every day. And I, like I said with Chris, I made, for example, a plan of a song. Okay, this song should be finished in 10 days. If it's not finished in 10 days, of course, it's not the end of the world, but at least aim for it. Like set a plan. This month I want to have one song finished, or two songs finished this month. And then you just stick to these things, and you put yourself through it, spend a lot of time with it. And whenever I have a song finished, then I take a break from music production, for example, the whole day. And what I do the whole day is just promoting it. So I would send my songs. I have an email list from all the DJs. It's like almost 1,000 people. And I send each and every one an email. I don't do thousand mail contacts in one mail, but I do one by one by one by one. So I do this almost 1,000 times in very short time. And then I do a lot of sending to blogs, sending to channels which can help you to promote your music. I I do also on social media, of course, create the content. So I think if you like, a lot of people, they just want to do music, like only music, nothing else, and that's it. But I think that's it's going to be very hard to kind of live from that if you don't do the promoting part as well, because that's going to help bring people in to the next releases. So I think you should do a very great balance of both, promoting, marketing, creating content, but also making a lot of music. So if you know how yourself, as yourself for a human, how you are, like how you work, like how you like to work, you should figure out what works best for you. Like some people, they do like music every day, and then they have one day where they do all the promoting stuff. Some people start the day with 2-3 hours doing emails, promoting content creation. Then they spend the rest of the day making music. So I think you have to find out yourself what fits your best, how you want to balance that part. But the thing is, you need both things, and you just need to make music which you really love, which you really believe in, which has a message, if you would like that it has a message to the people. And I think if it really comes from your heart and you put all your effort into it, and you try to connect with other people as well, I think if you keep going, stay consistent with it, it will help you. It will come along the way. Along the way, you will come up on new opportunities, because people, all the like, you have a lot of people watching you. They don't maybe press like on your post or something, but people watch you. And if you keep it very consistent all the time and you go all in, people notice that. People will talk to you, like people who can offer you something like a festival or club or whatever. They can, like, if they see people are all the time working and they're doing stuff and things are happening, you know it will come along your way, along your journey. This is the same with labels. Like if labels see you're all the time active, all the time new releases, all the time you're like, they see that you really are very passionate about what you're doing. They people are going to come in your way, which will help you, like lift you up and give you opportunities. Then it's of course up to you what you do with those opportunities. And yeah, but it's a lot of hard work actually. Like people like to talk about work-life balance, all that, and it's very true. But I think especially in the beginning, it's very important to put all the work in. You have to put really a lot of work in. And if you love what you're doing, you're not going to look at it as work even. It's going to be pleasure. And I think in that way.
So good. Wow. That's very powerful. Thanks for sharing that. And
Yeah, you're welcome.
so many important points for artists and very inspiring. Very good. I have a question to that you just mentioned. Just a personal question just came up. You mentioned that you, for the email list, you would really write each individual an email. Why don't you do like a, let's say, blind copy newsletter kind of
Because
thing?
the people who are going to receive the emails, they're like not how to say, they're like not dumb people. Like they know what you're doing. If they see that there's a mass mail, they're going to know it's not personal to them. So I don't think they will feel very respected, and they might not even listen to your track, whatever you said, because they will see that okay, this is just a email which was sent to a lot of guys, and maybe this guy don't even know who I actually am. They just have a list and send it to me. But I do it like I write each email. I write the name of the person I'm sending it to in the, what is it called in the email? You have like the
subject kind of
subject box. Yeah. I also write it in the email, and maybe I write in 1 or 2 sentences about that person. For example, if it's Chris who was on your show, he does music, for example, I would say, hey Chris, I really loved your last album called So and So, or your last single was really good. But it has to be, of course, honest, not that you didn't like it and you're like, oh, it was so nice. So I put that in because it's you wanting something from them. It's not the other way around. They don't they don't kind of they have like, those people usually have a lot of gigs, they have a lot of music coming out. So it's you who want something from them. So I think it's good if you at least show them that you appreciate their time if they take the time to listen to your song. I think that will bring you to a very long way. And yeah.
Wow, super cool. It comes back to the point that I guess so far everyone in the music roundtable has mentioned relationship, not only like connection or networks, like a deep and honest meaningful relationship with everything, which is always great to hear that music industry really has that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Talking a bit about content, I guess you've heard many artists also struggling with that. So for us, even for myself, I always feel like content is probably the key and for me, the biggest challenge, like what to post. And we hear many artists struggling with that. So do you have certain formats or like tips or advice for artists where you say, this is kind of easy to create, this is what they want to see, or what's your kind of
Well,
best
I don't.
content?
To be honest, it's like everything is shifting all the time so fast. Like 2-3 years, like 3-4 years ago, maybe TikTok was not so noticeable. It was not like Instagram was the big thing, and before that it was Facebook. So I think you have to kind of be able to apply the way of how you post content and what you create to each platform. Maybe that's not the best way for us, like in terms of that you have like to spend time on creating content which fits each platform. But if you want to be successful, I think you have to kind of follow how these platforms operate. Like for example, Instagram, they say reels are doing very well. I haven't tried it so much yet, but on Instagram, I think it's more about pictures, and stories. And on TikTok, it's more, of course, as everybody knows, more about the videos, short form or long form. So I had like 1 year ago, I was posting like lots of videos, music related videos about new songs and studio time and all that. I get like a few hundred views or maybe 1,000 or 2,000. And then one day there was like a spider in my car, and that spider made like what is it called in English? Like nest
Spider web net.
web, yeah. And it was just making it in one night, And I opened the window, I made a video of it, posted on TikTok, and I see a few moments later it has like 23 million views on TikTok.
That's so random, right?
And it has like over 1 million likes and 20 or 30,000 comments. I'm like, where were all you guys when I was posting about music, So you never know, what goes like viral or how everything works. But I think if you can make content and try to put yourself in the role of the people who's going to be watching it, how you want it, like what you want that they take from your post. If it's something entertainment wise or something that you want to help them with or learning wise, So I think first of foremost it's good to think of presentation, how you want to present it. And when it comes to what you want to post, I think if you have like new music, then of course about that. But during that time, I try to come up with stuff like if I would be someone who follows me right now, what I would expect from me to be posting about. So I try to go in the heads of people watching me or listening to my music. What do you like? What would I think if I would be someone else and be a fan of myself, like of my music? What would I this guy to be expecting to show me or teach me or whatever? So then I just try to think in that way, and sometimes it works, sometimes I don't know. You just have to try all the time and try to see it from different aspects. And what is your message in general with social media?
What is your message? What would you say is your message?
So, and sometimes, like, especially, let's say I have a new song and the song is about, like, for example, Strangers Again, it was about a relationship, ex-relationship, if you only could be strangers again, start over again. So then my content was all about um, uh, taking the song's message into social media. So what I did was I did like a small music video with some friends, and I had a friend of mine who was like the female version, like the female person in the song, and then kind of show it through video, like how like use the social media as an enhancement tool to the message from the music. So I did the video and thought that this could help bring the message from the song even further to the listeners. And when it's not a song, then I just try to update with them with stuff which I think might be relevant with them. But I'm also aware of who are my followers. Like, what, like, are they just like fans or just listeners? Are there also maybe people who works in the industry who like are booking agents or who are working at festivals, nightclub owners? You know, I try to fit my content to every kind of aspect or group, which could also be great for me, like in the future. But that's in between my releases. You know, like the main thing is of course the songs and the message from the songs. But in between, I try to update them with what I'm up to, what songs I'm working with, and if not updates about that, then I try to give them updates just in general. You know, like concerts and all that stuff.
Very cool.
So
Wow.
yeah. But
So
it's hard, you know. Sometimes you don't know really, like you said. Sometimes you really just like, you know, what to post this week, what I'm gonna post today or tomorrow. You know, you don't. Yeah, it's hard sometimes.
definitely, yes, yes. But it's always good to talk about. I guess about talking about music and songs is probably the least that every artist can do. Sometimes very underestimated how
Yeah.
much value you get out of it. Very good. I have two more questions for you. The first question is like a lot of kind of upcoming EDM artists, they look up to you now for what you've already achieved. What's your biggest advice what you would give to aspiring artists?
What I see is a lot of. I also have friends who just started making music, and they focus immediately so much at the very, very big things. You know, they focus on the, yeah, I want to perform at Tomorrowland. I want to get to the biggest label, like immediately. You know, and that's very good to have big goals and to think very, very big. I think that's a really good thing, and you should have that, and you should have confidence that you can achieve that. But you also should not ignore all the work that has to be put in to get there. So that's something people don't show others so much. Like, you don't see all the big guys what they're really doing all day in the studio. You see like that they're performing at the main stage somewhere for 1 hour and then that's it. Or you see that they come up with a new song, this and this one, but you don't actually see how much work was into it. So that's why sometimes you have people, they get into it for maybe for other reasons, not for that they are so passionate about it, but maybe like just for the glamour stuff. And then once they get in and they realize how much work you have to put in, then you don't see them so much anymore because it's actually quite a lot of work. So what I would advise is focus very much on yourself first. Put all the hours in to learn everything about what you're doing. So if you do pop, learn everything about. If you're a pop producer, learn everything about producing pop, melodies, instrument, like all the things. And if you're EDM, then you should also, of course, learn all about the EDM things. So really focus very much on yourself and work a lot on the music you're doing to try to bring your message as clear as possible. And I think if you work more and more on that, you get more experience, you get more secure about everything what you're doing with the time. And then I think you can focus on the next step by step, you know? Like a lot of people want to go from here to there and then, you know, so I think it's very good to it's okay if it takes a little bit of time. So it's much better if you go step by step by step, because then once you're there, you're gonna appreciate everything what you've done much more than if you would actually go from here to there, you know, then it would be, yeah. So I think just spend a lot of time, get to know everything about what you're doing, and yeah, work hard, and do your best.
Very, very good and important points. I guess it's often you can also get very quickly let's say, depressed or upset if you focus on the outcome and you want to achieve like the highest goals and then they don't come immediately. Then the dream is over before it has even started. So it's a very good point. It's the process the way is the goal.
Yeah, it's true.
Very good. Wow. My last question to you, maybe Jenny also has a question, but my last question to you is actually, what's next for you? Like, what are the plans for the future? Are there any exciting projects or even like maybe dreams that you work on currently?
So right now, my focus right now is to make, like, I have some new songs ready. Right now, I'm making like a buffer of songs, so it means like several songs, to release them for next year. So that's what I'm working actually right now. Also, I'm working on some official remixes for some big artists, from Spinnin, from the Spinnin label, and also what you mentioned about the content creation and all that stuff. I'm also working really hard on that to try to get a routine so that everything works a little bit more automatically, more smooth in the way. And for the future, what I or dream, like the dream, what you talked about for me is like just going to the next step. So more and more songs, new songs, more people I could move with my songs, and then hopefully, of course, if it happens, like more success to perform at bigger stages, travel more around to be able to share my music with more people. Because I really think, like, especially in dance music, it connects people. Like you can see at a festival, you have like so many different nationalities, so many different kind of people. They all together and celebrating together, and that's in general the message of dance music, that it brings people together. And I think that's something I would also like to see for my music whenever I perform, that as much as people possible can enjoy it and celebrate it together, and then it brings them, if people have a bad day or something, that they can listen to my song and then feel like, whoa, this is great, this just made my day. You have like several stories where people are listening to some songs and they maybe felt really, really bad, and they listened to that song and they got really happy. So that would be a dream for me, if I could touch as much people as possible, and if they could get that feeling about my music.
That's very beautiful. I love that. Thank you. And where can people best connect with you?
People can best connect with me on Instagram, I think, in terms of if they want to follow like day-to-day stuff, what I'm doing, because I'm posting a lot to Instagram stories. But also they can follow me on TikTok. I post sometimes. I'm trying to post more, it's not easy because you're also doing music. So, but the best way would be Instagram, because there is like daily updates.
Really good. Wow. So Jenny, do you have any other questions?
I have no more questions.
Okay.
Then Labi, wow, that was super inspiring. I guess from especially artists, this was amazing. Like so many important points that I really hope that artists take that serious. I really love you're very into process, which I really love, because I guess process is everything. And so hopefully many upcoming artists take you as an idol for that, and also very inspiring on your accomplishments. Like this is amazing. So thanks so much, Labi, for doing that for us. We really appreciate that, and I hope as soon as our music university is ready, which might still take a bit of time, but process is everything. But once it is ready, hopefully we can invite you in person for a masterclass. That would be our ultimate dream.
I would love to come. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun, and it's great for me also to do some repetition of stuff, because it also helps me, of course, to relive those moments. You get put back in a time. So that was really fun. Thank you again, and I hope one day we can meet and chat more about these things.
Definitely. If you at least, ladies, when you're in Germany or one of us in Norway, we have to reach out.
Yeah,